Hi, I'm Leann Ferry, Executive Leadership and Communication Coach.
I'm Dr. Kris Lee, and I'm an organizational psychologist.
Welcome, everyone, to the next episode in our delegation series. This is the delegation mindset. Now, there's a myth out there, I think, that supervisors delegate when they are just overwhelmed and they need help doing their workload, taking care of their workload. But really, delegation is about way more than that. Kris?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really is about developing people. So when you delegate to others, you give them an opportunity to develop their skills. And we want to share with everybody a new model that we have, which is called the delegation mindset. And there are 5 elements of the delegation mindset to share. And the first one starts with what is the work that needs to be done? So this is the what of it all. And it is understanding the work. So as a supervisor, you'd be asking yourself, what exactly needs to be done? Have you done it before? Is it something brand new task, brand new project? And having some sense of the effort or the labor involved in completing that work. So that is step number 1 or element number 1 of the delegation mindset.
And number 2 is really the who. So who can do this work, but also who could really benefit from learning how to do this work? So it's important to ask those 2 questions: who can do it and who could benefit from learning how to do it?
Yes. And element number 3 is I'll say it's the why of it all, because what you're always doing is looking for opportunities to develop your people. You're building capability. You are doing cross training. You might be responding to something that person, that staff member has in their individual development plan, or maybe they've talked to you about learning a specific skill. So you're constantly scanning the horizon as a supervisor for those opportunities to give them additional skill building activities.
And then number 4 is really how you're going to communicate this initial request for delegating a project or something you want them to do. And this is really around how you are going to show up with this employee. So one piece is about self-awareness, what is needed and what kind of presence do you need to have when you're communicating with this employee. A second piece of this is really to maintain positive intent, no matter how the conversation goes. And Kris, you and I had a really good conversation about positive intent on a different episode when we were preparing for that. So let's just cut on over to that and listen to that right now. And it makes me think about just the delegation mindset, and there's so many things that could go into that. But one of them I would say, and I guess this is a tip, is to assume positive intent on the part of the other person. We all walk around with biases, and you have yours about this employee that you're going to delegate to, or your fears or whatever. But because our series is so much about communication, I want to give this tip that it would benefit all of us to assume positive intent, because so much miscommunication happens. And I think we've touched maybe on this lightly before in another series, or maybe I've talked about it because I talk about it a lot. You may think XYZ was perfectly clear, but it went through a lot of filters, including your voice, your mind, before it got to the other person. The other person filtered it through their biases and understanding. There's so many places for miscommunication to happen. So I want to remind everyone about that and to assume positive intent, because most of the time that will help you. And it'll affect the way you talk to the person, the way, your tone and everything. So if you just do that, I think that you'll find it helps a lot. And so to that, I just want to add one more point, is that please remember that it might take some back and forth in that conversation, in that initial conversation, to build shared understanding and shared expectations of what's happening. A lot of us just don't want to have that conversation, don't think that part of the conversation is necessary, but it truly is. So that when you leave the room, leave the Zoom call, you both are absolutely on the same page.
Right, right. And the fifth element of the delegation mindset is really about support. And we're calling it a support cycle. And it's kind of a wraparound way of working and thinking. And maybe there's some coaching, more conversation, but really it's about how do you support your staff? How do you get a little closer to the work? So you have some sense of how things are going. It's a little bit of monitoring, a little bit of support for your staff in getting the work done. So there's no surprises, and that you have a checkpoint plan that people can come and talk to you, along with regular one-on-ones, which are really, really important. So this alleviates some of the concerns that supervisors have about being surprised at the 11th hour with a work product that they're not expecting, or that doesn't meet their standards. So this means that you get closer to the work, you support your staff member all the way through the process, and building their skills. So support cycle wraparound, that's element number 5.
So Kris, let's throw our model up on the screen now so everybody can see it. And we'll just summarize by talking it around.
Yes. So element number 1 is understanding the work. This is the what.
And then number 2 is know the who, which is who can do this or who could benefit from learning how to do this.
Right. Element number 3 is always looking for opportunities for your staff for development.
And number 4 is the how, which is how you're going to communicate this, how you're going to show up with them, what kind of presence you need to have, maintain that positive intent.
Right. And the 5th element is the support cycle. That's the wraparound to all of these other elements, which is continuing to support your staff through the process of getting the work done.
Yeah, I'd like everyone to feel free to take a screenshot of that model if they want to. So, Kris, I want to end just by saying I truly believe that empowerment is born from this delegation mindset, really and truly. Supervisors want their employees to be empowered and independent, and it just doesn't happen if they're not trusted and given the opportunities. So, if we're always doing things for them and we're always telling them what to do, ABC 1, 2, 3, empowerment's very difficult to develop. So it really is born from true delegation. And it's such an investment in your people and your organization if you can focus on doing it better.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Leann.
Yeah, thank you, Kris. Bye, everybody.